still needs additional granularity as to my earlier point, where we can really have an impact where we're just really strong. As I look at the package, and I'll be inclined to volunteer for the equipment if you like on your team. It would be very nice to have the inventory of nuclear assets justifying position of leadership. Some of these elements, how many people are employed in the nuclear industry space, certainly various folks around here that could fill in some of the major components of those headcount numbers. Research in federal labs, public university educational programs, that's kind of a less clear pathway. What are you looking for in terms of faculty staff? It would be very helpful, I think, to try to put some emphasis and priority for doing that inventory, which we say justifies position, continuous position of leadership. Is that true? How do you back it up? Because in parallel fashion, as you're looking at what is the real value proposition, put it in front of Mike Rencheck or yourself, David Christian, or the university. You need to have a credible statement in terms of here's some challenges, some opportunities for Virginia District. Here's what we think is achievable, here's why. And to stick with that, and to tie outcomes to that reason. Now, the third leg of this story is to go back to Bob's comment. Until you have that, I don't know how you just figure out who or what do you want as an executive director. If the focus of this organization, consortium, is going to be on primarily collaborative research involving the university representing the state, that may conjure up a concept skill sets. If it's over here workforce training, development, training people to do service industry business or engineers coming out of the pipeline, that may be enough. If it's something else that is not necessarily academic or R&D related, it may not. I totally agree until we have that kind of clear line of sight. Then it's difficult to go hire someone. It may make sense to engage your operation or engage a university or somebody else on an interim basis just to get the wheels moving on this process. The rest of my case.
Sorry, let me, well, that's a good opening for me to give you one report that I had at the meeting before I came in. It's quite well a bit. Before I came over, I had a chance to sit down for 30 minutes with Morris Jones, Secretary of Commerce and Trade for the governor. And he basically was starting from square one. What is this? What is it about? How did it come to be? What's going on with it? So we took him through kind of how it came to be, what it's trying to be, discussed, great. These are words of talent. These are people who have made a strong commitment and are coming to these meetings and sitting around these tables and participating and so forth. And he basically said, I like this, I think this is good, I want to be supportive. We talked about the fact that, as I've been saying, the state was providing a home. We really need a little bit of a home here, and we need some help. I thought Randy has done a great job in helping us to get these things underway. And so we talked about things that the authority consortium could do. And he landed on three things. One was he thought, in my words, a picture of what is the nuclear industry in the Commonwealth of Virginia would be a really good thing to do. what do we have? Who's here? What do we have for jobs, economic benefits, revenues? What do we make? What do we do? But not only on the commercial side, but on the government side as well, stuff that we do. But the whole entire picture, what it is and what it means for the Commonwealth. Secondly, that he said, I'd like to consider coming up with a strategy for growing nuclear energy in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And, not only looking at helping to meet our energy needs within the Commonwealth, but also how do we grow the jobs? How do we grow the economy? How do we grow all the benefits of this industry, the resources that it can provide? Thirdly, this one is another one that I think is very important, is from that strategy, what recommendations, what come from the authority and the consortium that we should consider for public policy? Public policy things to be done. And so I said that I would bring that, report on that to the meeting here, that we'd be back to him with, once we get all these other elements beginning to get underway. I think nothing that he's interested in is certainly contrary to what we want to do, but does maybe help give us some focus. When I asked who he wanted, he's very open to housing us, use that term there. And when I asked him who point person he would like to keep communicating with off the bat, he immediately said Randy. I said, "Oh, that's great." He's on top of it, I think, and helping us keep moving along. So, Jerry, within that context, and what you just said, I like to think that fits. That's really, we need to keep focused. He's looking for something out of this. He has no ownership in the origination of it. But he is looking, and I think he resonated with some of the things I was trying to say about the value that this could bring to the administration. So the policy recommendations in terms of showing a picture of what this industry is in the Commonwealth and how it can benefit and do things like that. So just, I'm not necessarily any action on that right now, but just to help try and keep us focused, and as we keep honing in on what we're going to be doing, we keep those kinds of things in mind. So, if they're willing, and I also, this is something also to report, I got a call about 2 months ago from the state auditor looking to audit us. And when I picked myself back up off the floor, I said, well, you're welcome to look around. I don't know where to tell you to start. We don't have anything. Anyway, so, but the question also occurred to me was, as I understand discussions about, money beginning to flow in. It's like, well, where does it flow? And how do we make sure that is being managed right and right and so forth? And the secretary said, yeah, we could help fit that into their piece of things in terms of the treasury and so forth. So that's not a huge thing, but an important thing as we move further down the road on this.
Marshall, those three things that you said are the immediate goals that were laid out, or objectives,
Yes.
those responsibilities. So it lines up exactly what Jerry had said,
Yeah.
the steps we should immediately take.
We're gonna get, that's why I wanted to get all that stuff out there, so forth, then we'll get over some of it. Yeah, so I think it's aligning well, and it'll be good to have some support like that for the administration. So and he kind of was wondering maybe if he could come over to the next meeting we have and chat a little bit. I said, absolutely, of course. So, that's good. All right, you have...
Good, Mr. Chairman, we were suggested to have an executive director. I've deleted that. What I'll do is, based on the three things you've stated, and the stuff that Jerry says I have in comments, we will integrate that with your permission into the recruitment committee, what it does. We'll change these set of dates, acknowledging that the proposed timeline, that why you accepted in concept of getting the consortium up and approved and working well, you're not approving this timeline, understand totally, and we will take the action to get back to you with a new timeline and all the appropriate steps, given the engagement involved.
All right, any other, anything else under new business? If not, we'll go to item 6A.
I don't want to be a problem, Mr. Chairman, just one more. I'd like to propose that we get the names of the volunteers that would like to be members of this recruitment committee.
All those in favor of being on the, like to be on the group? I see hands.
Great. Nobody from this side? Was it just this side of the table?
So let's see, Sally, you volunteered?
She did.
You volunteered. What university? Two universities. Three universities. Do I hear four?
I really need an organization, a commercial organization like Dave involved other than just universities and labs. So if I could ask one of you to consider being a member of this recruitment committee. Thank you, sir.
Well, here's where my thought stream is going. Since it is a responsibility of the authority of the consortium to do step one, which is what we got. How many do we have? You want a separate group to tackle that issue? Be a part of the tackle process.
My intent, if it's acceptable, to the recruitment committee also tackle that process too. So that we had one committee that crossed over all the topics and issues so that we could look at this. And that's why, thank you, I appreciate that you engaged, so that we could look across all of the spectrum of what we need to do. We report back if we're going to keep any kind of schedule of getting this activity up and running before November, then we have a fair amount of work still to do. I'm trying to reach out to you.
If you recall, though, you had big reports to review, volunteer to assist with that, because you do have unique resources at your disposal to draw on to pull that picture. And I'm happy to help
Same
with that.
committee
even
will
as-
set the annual compensation and bonus structures for the board. Effectively seize total power.
We have every intention of paying you.
We work.
As much as we have to.
There was no response at the end of that worked well. And thank you, Maureen, for joining the recruitment committee.
I'm, Jerry, I'm happy to help you. Like,
Yeah, Jerry, I'm very interested. I think drawing a picture would be a huge thing.
Well, we have some folks, that- we do some of these industry profiles, it's kind of a boilerplate in our recruitment efforts and expansion efforts. Those colleagues can be very helpful in terms of helping to initially scope out a template of, well, and what are the questions we need to ask in order to get the answers. And that applies to whether it's, higher education, federal labs, et cetera. So, I could probably get some support from that group, save us some more time, front end ramp up.
I think it's a great idea, and I like the three questions that the secretary asked for, because I think there's things we must know in order for us to be successful. We need to understand what's happening in the Commonwealth now before we can start talking about where it needs to go and what it needs to do to enhance and improve its position for nuclear science technology. So his questions were quite on.
Well, in order for this to really be powerful, to be a nationally recognized effort, there's going to have to be collaboration, wherever collaboration makes sense. It may not make sense to have private sector players agree with the BMW, whomever, agree to join hands and send the true body out. But it may make sense for the universities to engage in collaborative research in order to have critical mass to go after some major grant money, whether it's coming out of the feds, coming out of private industry, or wherever it's coming from. So I think in order to get real horsepower, you've got to have all the cylinders